Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Razorleaf Unpacking 3D Experience webinar series. I'm Julianne Grant. I'm your host for today. I'm joined by Kip Speck, who's going to be our presenter and taking us through the topic of what is unified product structures in 3D experience. So this is an interesting area of the product, and I'm sure many of you have questions. If you come up with any questions throughout this presentation, please be sure to put them in the questions panel. We are recording this webinar, and we will be sending it out to all registrants over the next 2 to 3 days. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Kip.
Thank you very much, Julian. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to present this from a video, but I will go ahead and start it from here. Thank you very much. Welcome to today's webinar series, Unpacking 3D Experience. What is the unified product structure and why should you implement it? Today's webinar agenda will talk a little bit about Razorleaf, who is Razorleaf and what we do, why the unified product structure, UPS, unified product structure compared to Designer Central, DEC, benefits of migrating to UPS from DEC. I'll talk about myself a little bit and 𝘼𝘼𝙊𝙃. 𝘼𝘼𝙊𝙃 is our senior sales executive. He's been involved with PLM and PDM for the past 10 years of his career. He has helped clients develop solutions to their PLM and PDM challenges at Razorleaf for the past 3 years. He has experience dealing with clients who want to know whether PLM or PDM or both can answer their business process needs. I am Kip Speck with over 15 years in PLM and PDM industry, mainly focusing on Dassault, PDM, and PLM solutions. I'm a pre-sales solution architect with Razorleaf. I was a co-founder of a reseller and worked for other resellers as well, and it's my second term here at Razorleaf. I was so impressed with Razorleaf the first time, I decided I wanted to come back and work for them some more. Razorleaf professional service offerings, consulting staff of North America and offshore. We have ITAR compliant and hold security clearances. We do implementations to define clear measurable goals for success, assign teams and responsibilities, strategize and plan rollout for data and new processes, identify common pitfalls to reduce risk. With our support and training, we have our help desk support. We offer training, hourly contract or subscription-based, support project teams during all phases of implementation, key metrics for project success. With our migration, we map out data requirements, categorize all the databases, prevent data gaps during translation, troubleshoot missing data sets, and we guarantee accuracy. With our staff augmentation, we have PLM experts available to support PLM projects on-site or remote, supplements internal project team, and accelerate project completion and success. We have a test automation suite to establish a detailed success plan for test automation requirements, install TNA software for PLM upgrades and customizations, continuous training and support for test validation. And our integration services are used to create integration requirements, establish endpoint connectors, map out processes and workflows to move data to complement existing middleware. So let's talk about why implement the Dassault Systems unified product structure in your business. Adopting the UPS can be a strategic business decision that drives efficiency, reduces costs, and improves collaboration across product development in the enterprise domains. Product management, engineering management, manufacturing management, and change management. You can also say that Designer Central has some of the same domains or has the same domains. That's true, but it's how all the domains and objects are connected in the unified product structure that makes it so different. In Designer Central, and we'll talk about this more as we get into it, in Designer Central, you had very disconnected domains from change management, product, engineering, and manufacturing they were very disconnected, and you often had to synchronize data structure from one data structure to the next, and it was a manual process unless you wrote triggers and events and were able to customize the environment. And you even subclassed and things like that in the old Designer Central. With the new product structure, the unified product structure, everything is pretty much hung around one single structure, giving it kind of that digital thread. Okay? You have increased efficiency and faster time to market. Why do we say that? Well, the single source of truth, as you bring in all the domains across your enterprise, they all can share the same data without having to duplicate data. And I know some of you are going to say, well, we have other systems to do those. Well, that's true, right? So not everybody can have everything in one system, but that's okay. That's what integration is, and understanding the unified product structure, being able to integrate your system with other systems. And I'll touch I'll touch on that a little bit later as well. So with the single source of truth, it reduces redundant work, ensures all departments, engineering, everybody use the same data. Automated change propagation. This is important because in the unified product structure, they went to a unified change governance structure as well. So you used to have a ECR and MCR. We used to have all kinds of different change objects or methods in the governance cycle where they weren't connected very well. And again, unless you customized and things like that. So the change propagation or change management helps identify the effectivity of a change or the impact analysis, whether it's from manufacturing to engineering to product. You're able to see that thread across all of those much easier. Better configuration management, in being able to define products with variants and configurations, and then easily and effectively linking those to the engineering definition. The methods of doing it now in unified product structure is much easier and even faster, and even makes it easier to identify requirements definition from product configuration into engineering as well, which overall then means you get faster product development cycle times, you reduce time spent on rework, and you get to market quicker. The cost reduction and risk mitigation. This also means that you can have fewer errors and rework. Synchronized CAD BOMs. If in the old system in Designer Central, if I didn't set it to automatically synchronize and somebody made a change and didn't synchronize, then your BOMs and CAD were out of sync, right? Well, with the unified product structure, it's always in sync. They're tied together. So there's no synchronizing that has to happen by the user or by some automation. Improved compliance ensures that regulatory and quality requirements are embedded into the product structure from the start. Optimized resource use, efficient product structures help reduce material waste and manufacturing costs. Now, you may use the manufacturing simulation tools to be able to run simulation on the manufacturing processes, identify what components need to be at certain stages, things like that. That way you can actually run a simulation of your manufacturing process, adjust it, and then maybe run fewer real manufacturing where you actually have to make a physical part and stuff like that. So fewer recalls and risk compliance, increased profit margins when you don't have to keep reworking, buying new ones for R&D and testing and everything else, and lower development and production costs. Enhanced collaboration across the teams. The cross-disciplinary integration from ECAD, MCAD, software all in one structure. So when I look at my unified product structure, I will have the entire gambit, if I want, of your mechanical, electrical, software, whatever it is that you want to show in that structure is there, and along with the specific one for a specific configuration for that product as well. So the global team coordination enables seamless collaboration across locations, everywhere from being able to create collaborative spaces, being able to set up wikis, being able to have your own shared dashboards. There's all kinds of ways of collaborating across the platform. So now no longer is it necessary that you have to say, hey, I'm going to send you an email about something. You can go in and comment on a component, assign it to somebody, create tasks, attach those objects, even markups, red lines, and everything else to be able to share with other people on the platform. Cloud-based access via 3D Experience ensures real-time access to the latest design data and reduce bottlenecks. One of the things I really like about it is that I don't necessarily have to VPN into somewhere, download the latest version to my local computer, work on it and hope somebody else didn't make changes, and then eventually have to try to sync things up again and stuff like that. So when I access the data, whether you're using the Dassault Public Cloud or 3D Experience on-premise, the data is the data. It's up to date, and when you work on it, you check it out, you revise it, you change the state, it's always there. So which helps with reduced misalignment between departments, being able to say, here's the work, when I release something and I make it visible, or the people that have access to that data will see it instantly. There's no, hey, let me upload, download, all this other stuff, right? More efficient teamwork and communication. Again, things like redlining or chatting or any creating tasks, things like that. Project management is all connected on the platform, and you can even link everything to specific objects as deliverables, things like that. Which also makes it faster decision making. Think about revisions. If I created a revision and I have that as a task in my for somebody to do, they attach the final, or they link the final model or drawing to that task, and there was red lines to it. I can see all of that in one place. So I can compare the red line. I can look at the red line markups, and I can take the version of that object and I say compare version 1 and version 2, and it'll show me the deltas. And that way I can say, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted, and now I can make a better decision and faster. Better change and lifecycle management. Change management, now that it is a unified change management, end-to-end traceability. I don't have to have separate change structures for engineering, manufacturing, and other areas as well. I have one change management structure that is capable of governing all of the different areas, right? So better change control, I can over product lifecycle, cost, easier compliance, and reduce risk. And I'll tell you that, I can have a change action linked to another change action, or have them dependent upon each other. I can have flow down where I can't release one change action before another one gets done. I can move objects from change action to change action. I can have a change order that governs all the change actions or several change actions. I can resolve change requests, issues, and things like that. I can do impact analysis on the change management. So now the impact analysis may be part, or looking at the change, it may incorporate engineering and manufacturing BOMs, 𝘼𝘼𝙊𝙬𝙁 and mBOMs, right? So the change management, now that it's under one change governance process, it makes it easier to manage all of my domains. The scalability for complex and custom products. Handles complex product architectures, supports mass customization, product customization, and future-proofing. Essentials for aerospace, automotive, industrial equipment, companies that offering configurable products. Future-proofing scales with the business as products become more complex. I always think this is one of the coolest parts of 3D Experience, the unified product structure, is I can define configurations, I can define variants and options, and I can create rules around those things. And if I've engineered components, I can have a product manager even build a brand new product based on existing components that were already created. I may have a bicycle that is in our market, and my sales team might go out to a customer and say, hey, what do your customers want? And they say, well, we want that same bicycle with a different rim or a different seat or whatever it is. And if I've already engineered it or designed it, I can actually swap it out, right? I can create, as long as I have permissions, of course, I can create a new configuration and be able to have that visually show it to the customer. And then at the end, it may have to go through engineering for final engineering details, be able to actually create the models and drawings, the assemblies that are actually needed. That speed that I can do that in is tremendous compared to what I had to do in previous days. Competitive advantage and innovation acceleration. Faster prototyping and iteration, integration with simulation tools. Years ago when I was working with a 𝘼𝘼𝙊𝙊𝙊𝙊 guy, they were showing me, I did some demos. They showed me, I'm not a simulation person, but they showed me how to do these demos. So I created a component and I ran some simulation tests on it. And I was doing it all in Dassault Public Cloud. Ran some simulation, and then when I finished, I was able to take that simulation result, attach it to a task that was assigned to me, and send it over to a simulation expert or engineering and say, here's the results. And they were able to play those results in the platform. They didn't need to have to go do something else, but that I was able to do all that right on the platform, connected from the engineering design into the simulation, where I didn't have to create multiple versions of that CAD data just to run different simulations, right? So I was able to run my simulation right from the CAD data, the engineering CAD data. Aligns with Industry 4.0, supporting IoT, AI, and automation. And AI and automation these days is top of mind, and everybody's wanting it to do predictive commands and things like that, right? So now you're getting AI built into the platform, where if I pick a face and another face, it knows that these are maybe perpendicular, or the way that they mate together. Or if I insert one component into an assembly, it knows the mating, and it'll actually mate it for you, right? So different things like that. There's a lot of AI being built into the platform now that is going to make it even easier or more streamlined for engineers and designers to focus on what they really want to, not, hey, did I make this correctly, right? So taking some of that stuff off of their plate to do helps streamline and make it more efficient for them to work. So the final verdict, why UPS is a smart business move. Implementing the UPS is not just a technical upgrade, it's a business enabler. It aligns with product development, engineering, manufacturing. It's faster, cheaper, and higher quality product launches, right? We boost efficiency, eliminating data silos, supports scalability, improves collaboration, accelerates innovation, reduce cost by minimizing errors and rework. And again, remember, I can build simulation from FEA analysis all the way to manufacturing simulation. You can even have it tell me what's the cheapest way to build a part, right? So there's a lot of different ways and a lot of different reasons of why this is a smart business decision. And if you're aiming for digital transformation, product excellence, and operational efficiency, it's a smart investment that drives long-term business success. So let's take a moment and look at a comparison between UPS and Designer Central. The purpose and focus of the two. So the main purpose of UPS is unified product structure across all disciplines. Designer Central managing CAD design files, revisions, and collaboration workflows. Not saying it didn't do product management and some other things, but it wasn't the main focus. It really, from when it was purchased from Matrix One and into Innovia, it became more of an engineering tool, right? The scope for UPS is enterprise-wide, from product lifecycle structure, from ideation, and you can go all the way out to your MES if you want to go that far. CAD and Designer Central, CAD file and project collaboration for design teams. And then the focus, the cross-disciplinary product structure and configuration management of UPS, whereas Designer Central, it was CAD-centric, collaboration, versioning, and check-in, check-out. And make that distinction, Designer Central is very CAD-centric. UPS is product architectural and configuration management centric. Okay? So the product lifecycle and change management for the product structure management, it's a centralized product structure linking CAD, 𝘼𝘆𝘆𝑚, xBOM, and configurations. Designer Central manages project-specific CAD structures. So you're not really, again, not saying you couldn't do it, but it was very complicated, complex, and if everything didn't go right, it became a mess, right? So being able to create product structures, your 150% BOM, your 100% BOM, your 120% BOM, your configuration, be able to filter it and see the specific version or the configuration of that product structure from engineering was very difficult. Okay. Change propagation tracks impact of design changes across the entire product. Manages and Designer Central manages design updates and approvals within teams, right? So we go for the UPS impact across the entire product or entire domain structure is capable. And in Designer Central is more engineering focused. The UPS bill of materials management is synchronized with CAD, 𝘼𝘼𝙊𝙬, mBOM for manufacturing, but you can also have service BOMs and other as-built BOMs and things like that right from the engineering structure and from the manufacturing structure. The Designer Central mainly CAD-based with limited direct BOM integration. Collaboration and integration. This is a big one, and I think it's important to understand the faster and better we can communicate in a product design, the faster you're going to get it to market. And you're going to meet your requirements much better, right? So cross-discipline collaboration, it unifies MCAD, ECAD software teams, as well as product managers, right? So, and manufacturing definitions. Designer Central was primarily for CAD designers. Integration with PLM ERP. It's fully integrated with Dassault Systems PLM Experience, support ERP systems, meaning that the Dassault we have the capability of connecting Dassault into 𝘼𝘽𝙊𝙊𝙄, xBOM, or you can look at an integration from there into any other MES or ERP system. So it's open for us to be able to do that. Okay. And again, I talked about this on the simulation manufacturing. The CAD is linked to the Simulia and digital manufacturing. You know, like I said, the simulation results are right there, right? Limited primary design collaboration for Design Central. And then the CAD integration, integrates structures, CAD BOM, and multi-domain. They both did that fairly well. UPS, it doesn't matter what CAD package you have. The old Designer Central, you could do it, but it was very difficult. But the old Designer Central mainly focused on CATIA V5 and some SolidWorks and maybe NX, but you really had to get things right to get it there. On the UPS structure, CATIA V5, CATIA V6, SolidWorks, NX, Creo, you have it, it's integrated with UPS. Even SolidWorks desktop and SolidWorks connected, right? So the version revision control, change impact and design changes across the entire product. Designer Central, kind of the same thing. Versions allow designers to work on latest revisions. Multi-CAD support, I touched on that, and collaboration scope. Enables system-level collaboration across disciplines. I'm no longer saying, hey, your product, so you can talk about product-to-product people, or your manufacturing, so you can talk manufacturing to manufacturing people, right? So now, because the platform dashboards and collaboration tools allow me to collaborate with anybody and see things and be able to point things out or work with any group to be able to design and deliver the best products. Okay. So the comparison, the final part of the comparison, you know, it's the UPS is best for UPS or companies managing complex multi-domain products, aerospace, automotive, industrial. Now, and Designer Central is CAD-centric teams working on design projects. Now, that doesn't mean on the UPS side that you've got to be some big company. It just means that if I was just designing single part components, maybe I would use UPS, maybe not, right? Maybe I would implement something else or just a straight EPDM system. But when I start talking about product configurations, having multiple versions, or it evolves over time, UPS then becomes, hey, I'm not just doing engineering, you know, I'm actually doing engineering and product definition, you know, configurations and things like that as well. Okay. Now the scalability supports large enterprises with product support with complex product configurations. and the Design Essential scales well for design teams, but limited to enterprise-wide integration. And I'll add the caveat: it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just can be a lot more work to do it. Okay. So final thoughts: when to use which? Well, it's kind of a decision made for you from Dassault right now, because I can't go to Dassault and say, hey, I want to buy Innovia brand new using Designer Essential. You can't buy those licenses anymore. So, but if I have a legacy system that is Designer Essential, or maybe I'm thinking about a mixed environment, which you can do, have Designer Essential objects and UPS objects in my same platform, you could do that. But there's a good reasons why to move to UPS for some of your designs, maybe new ones. But if you want a fully integrated enterprise-wide system that with CAD, different types of CAD, engineering BOM, manufacturing BOM, change management, governance, across disciplines, then UPS is good for you. Okay. I threw together just kind of a quick structure, and understand this isn't like every object and everything else, but just for kind of visual discussion. When we look at Designer Central, you had these centrals that you had to install. You had the product management, configuration, variant management, engineering BOM, which they called EC parts, and change management. And under that change management, you'll see there's an ECO and ECR, and down here there's a change action, right? And in the engineering BOM, you could create subtypes of, different types of EC parts and all this. Well, then you had to sync that with your CAD, and this should be bidirectional because you could go either way. But you had to synchronize the CAD structure with your engineering BOM, and then work out some of the structural differences and things like that. On the unified product structure, we don't technically, you have centrals. If you were on premise, you would install different things. But when I look at the interface, there's roles, there's change management, and that are part of the PCS role or the base role. Engineering items, my physical product, these are the items that when I create a CAD structure, an engineering item is automatically created, and the 3D shape data is automatically attached to it. So then your product management, manufacturing, and there's others, but again, this is just kind of a high level for discussion and to kind of look at where some of those major differences are. So when I look at the engineering items, I can create an engineering structure that is 150% structure, right? And into my product, I can have model versions and configuration management that has my variants and options. And then when I say take my engineering definition and I want to see the 100% BOM for that, I filter based on a model version that has a configuration to it, and then it filters out my engineering structure or my engineering definition to show just the components that are required for that one, right? And the CAD definition is automatically linked, so anytime I save CAD to the data, it creates a physical product or an engineering item that's attached to it automatically. So this synchronization that I had to do with Designer Essential doesn't exist anymore, right? And I don't have to have customization to automate any of that either, right? Now, on the change management side, you'll see that it's just a change order, and there's also a change request, right? And then over on the Designer Central side, you see the engineering change request and ECO, and there was an MCR and MCO. Well, what's in common now is just the change action. So the change action now is what's here, but it's the same change action object that was in Designer Central. But the change order and change request are not the same as the ECR and ECO these days, because they went to a unified change structure. Now let's talk a little bit about the benefits of migrating from Designer Central to Dassault Systems Unified Product Structure. The migration from Designer Central product structure to the Unified Product Structure provides significant advantages in collaboration, scalability, efficiency, and lifecycle management. Now, before I go in too much further, it's anytime you're going to migrate from one system to another, whether it's the Dassault's Innovia Designer Central structure to Unified Product Structure, or if it's from some other system, it's always important to understand the structure of your existing data and how it maps to the Unified Product Structure and what your business goals are in using unified product structure. As an example, if you're using SolidWorks EPDM and you're using SolidWorks with configurations, things like that, and have different revision schemes, different data, if I'm using the custom properties and configuration specific properties in SolidWorks, and I want to migrate to the UPS, you have to decide what to do with the custom data or the configuration specific data and the common properties data that's inside of SolidWorks. If you have different part numbers, things like that for each configuration, or if configurations are visibility configurations only, and what type of legacy data you have. So migrating is always something that you need to spend time in understanding what you have and where you want to go, not just from data to data, but once you get the data in the UPS, how do you want to manage it? Are you going to start doing product management, project management? Are you going to start doing configuration management, things like that? And how does that align with just your engineering data that you've migrated over? So having said that, let's dive into it a little bit. So centralized product structure versus file-based CAD management. You know, when you talk about migrating, the data structure of CAD is file-centric and designer central, and unified product structure, it's unified across CAD, BOM, and multiple discipline areas, everywhere from product definition all the way out to manufacturing, even service BOMs and things like that, work instructions. They're all tied to the UPS, right? The collaboration primarily supports design teams, and UPS enables enterprise-wide collaboration. And then the change management is basic version revision tracking in Design Essential. And with UPS, it's integrated change propagation across all disciplines. You know, the key benefits of doing it is eliminates file-based silos and ensures real-time data consistency. Multidisciplinary integration from mechanical to electrical to software, simulation as well. You know, so it ensures that product structure remains synchronized across the enterprise and life cycles. Some of the key benefits of UPS: enhanced configuration and BOM management. So BOM handling in Designer Central, it's limited to engineering for the most part, and then unified product structure, it's fully integrated with 𝘼𝘼𝙊𝙬𝘼𝘾, and your product configurations as well. Configuration management, basic version control, and unified product structure, advanced configuration and variant management. The thing we love that we really wanted to focus on moving forward these days is having a product definition and a single engineering definition, that 150% engineering definition, and how it applies to the product configuration and what requirements are resolved by those as well. So that when I go to production or go into manufacturing gets a filtered BOM, 100% BOM, and what that looks like for them to be able to create their manufacturing structures as well. Lifecycle change management, you know, is very important to not only think about, you know, engineering has changed, but so does product management. So when product management says, hey, there's a new option or a new variant that we want to add to this product, how is engineering affected by that? What do they need to do? Are they going to add a component? Are they going to change a component? Do they add a new color of a component? What is that in the product definition? And how does it affect the engineering definition and synchronize together so it's always there, right? As well as when I make a change, how do I manage the governance of that change, the impact analysis, or what's new, what's old? How do I communicate that to manufacturing? So when manufacturing is looking at that engineering definition, they see exactly what's new, what's old, what's revised, what's removed, things so that they can update their manufacturing definition as well. And the scalability of large complex products. I don't care if you have a product that has 10 parts or 1,000,000 parts. You've got to be able to manage those products, those complex products, not just in Excel or a table on a drawing or some other system where they dream up these new product configurations and then somehow have to transfer that information over to engineering. So have a system that allows you to define the product, the configuration options, and brings them into engineering all the way out to manufacturing as well. and be able to communicate, be able to collaborate, be able to share information, be able to visualize status, not just by, hey, somebody saying, hey, I'm done with this model, go check it. But maybe I see a product definition that when I filter that product definition, I see that 80% of it has CAD data, the other 20% doesn't. I can view and filter information in a very easy way to see statuses or where things are, not just from an Excel based or somebody said, hey, I'm 90% done. Well, what does that mean, right? So being able to collaborate on designs, product definitions easier and more directly is extremely important. And again, that goes into the collaboration and cloud accessibility. Sorry about that. The better collaboration and cloud accessibility. You know, now if you're using the Dassault Public Cloud, they're even talking about CAD on any device or CATIA on any device. You know, so whether it's a Mac or a Windows machine, you know, so they're talking on the Dassault Public Cloud that you can do your CATIA data designs on any device now. The days that you have to have this massive workstation are dwindling. You know, there are still things if you're using the desktop or the desktop application, you still need to have graphics drivers and things like that. But you can do a lot of things on Cloud CAD now that weren't there before and aren't available in the old systems or many other systems, right? The limited integration, you know, seamlessly integrate 3D Experience Cloud with any system you want. If you still have an older MES or a different MES that you like, whatever that is, or ERP, and you need to integrate those, you know, we have the ability to integrate system to system to multiple systems, or multiple systems to a system. Whatever that structure looks like, we can integrate your PLM to that as well. Whether your 3D experiences UPS structures on premise or on cloud, we can do that. So the business impact, why migration to UPS is a smart decision. 1, cost savings. 2, cost savings. Well, okay, you get the idea. Reduces errors, rework, and inefficiencies in design to manufacturing handoff. Regulatory compliance, full traceability. Everything that you see has history. Everything that is done is visible, right? A competitive edge to digital transformation. That digital thread is more important now more than ever, right? Being able to take that requirement that says this battery has to last 5 hours, or it has to run, the car has to travel 400 miles, right? Well, how was that resolved in engineering? And how do you know that? How do you know that you met those requirements? Greater flexibility to handle growing product complexity, evolving customer demands. You know, today the customer says they want one thing, you know, and then your competitor brings on something new, right? How quick can you react to the market requirements, market definitions, and the needs? How fast can you do that? Do I have to go create a whole new engineering structure, a copy of everything? How quickly can you do that? And how easy is it to say, hey, I'm going to add a new variant or a new option to our product, and now I need it to go to engineering, and I need them to resolve that and get a new engineering structure quickly so I can get it out to manufacturing or even out to sales so that they can get buy-off from their customers, right? So faster time to market is imperative these days. You know, the work has to still be done. And what I always try to say is that, you know, there are certain things that you must do, right? So how do I shorten the distance between idea or requirement to production? That's the idea. I mean, some of the tasks have to be done regardless, right? So how do you shorten that distance? You know, having better tools, faster tools, more intelligent tools, where things and some processes and things are already built in, right? Where people used to have to do manually what the system does automatically for you, right? So faster time to market, better interfaces. You know, as we talked about earlier, Dassault is building more AI into the UPS product structure and the platform to make it easier for you to design product and get it to the market. So the final verdict, move to UPS for more integrated, scalable, and efficient development processes. Migrate from Designer Central to UPS. It may take a little while to map out and define what that configuration, the transformation from Designer Central to UPS is, but it will be worth it. And over time, you'll be more you'll be more scalable and have a better system in the long run. So what Razorleaf can do for you, helping the journey from Designer Central to UPS, aligning current business processes to meet the definition of UPS, implementing and enabling digital thread, support existing systems, project management, and system integration, integrating from 3D Experience to MES to ERP, other systems and things like that. Razorleaf is here for you and here to help you with your needs. For that, I'll open it up into questions.
Thanks, Kip. That was a good presentation. We had, it went into a nice level of detail because we had talked on a podcast recently with Michael Welty about product structures and different PLM systems. We definitely talked about 3D Experience, but not in this level of detail. So that was very helpful. Thank you. So we have some questions in. I want to get right to them. So the first question we have is, can UPS and DEC, Designer Central, work concurrently? Can you transition Designer Central to UPS project by project? It's two questions in one, sorry.
Thanks.
Can UPS and Digital Central work concurrently?
Yes, so you can have a platform on premise that has Designer Central and UPS structure inside of it, not on the Dassault public cloud.
Okay, and then the follow-up on that was, can you transition Designer Central to UPS project by project?
Yeah, it depends on what you mean by project by project. If you mean by design, you could, but you know, having if you're trying to mix CAD structures between Designer Central and UPS, that's not something we would probably recommend ever doing. But if you wanted to start a new program in UPS and have old programs in Designer Central, you could do that.
Okay, great. Got a couple more here, but if anyone has the questions, please enter them into the questions panel and we'll get to them. We still need to get to bill of materials to Oracle ERP EBS. Oops, somebody's ringing my doorbell. Apologize for that. All right, let me repeat that. We need to get our bill of materials to Oracle ERP EBS, and Designer Central used xBOM. What does UPS use for an integration?
So the physical product structure is what gets sent over, and that kind of replaces the EC bill of materials or the engineering bills of materials before. So there's different applications or different roles and apps that you use to visualize the engineering bill of materials. One is like XEN or engineering release, and it kind of gives you a bill of materials like interface. I tend not to try to say it's a bill of materials, but it's the engineering definition. So on release or something like that, you know, on a change state or a revision or something like that, you can query or poll the system for those types of events, and then that engineering definition would get sent over to Oracle or your ERP and things like that. So that physical product structure that's defined for your engineering definition, it could be sent over. Or if you're using manufacturing items, when you do the manufacturing definition, you could use the manufacturing definitions to send to your MES or ERP system.
Great, thank you. And then could a central CAD library team build models on one CAD tool and have them used in a product that uses a different CAD tool?
If you're asking, can I have assemblies that are mixed CAD? So if I have an assembly that's a CATIA V6 and then I have some SolidWorks parts or NX parts, can I use those components inside of that that top level 3DX? Yes, you can. And it works fairly well. So there's some tricks to that, and there's some rules on how to do that. But yes, you can do that.
Okay, great. Another question for you. Does UPS use separate change processes like the legacy centrals?
No, that was one of on that graphic I showed. There's in the legacy or an old Designer Central, you used to have engineering change order or manufacturing change orders. You had different types of them. With the UPS, they went to a centralized or a unified change structure. So I use the same change objects for manufacturing, engineering, product, everything.
Okay, great. Again, if anyone has any questions, please enter them in the questions panel. Next question I have is, so with UPS, are engineering items and manufacturing items the same type?
No, they're separate types. But when you create your manufacturing item, you create what's called a scope link to your engineering definition, and that's so that so manufacturing can reorder their structure based on manufacturing needs and processes. For instance, I may restructure the manufacturing items or definition in a way that makes sense to where maybe I need a wheel here and different timing and things like that. I want to restructure that structure for manufacturing because I might have kits, I might have additional tooling, things like that. So having the separate structure for manufacturing is required, but there's a scope link between the manufacturing item and the engineering definition. And so when I look at manufacturing, if engineering's made changes, I'll see those changes in the manufacturing structure as well.
Okay, great. I think we have time for one more question here, or two. So, and again, on the integrations, are all Designer Central CAD integrations supported by UPS? I'm see if you said that already, if you answered this already.
Are all CAD integrations that were in Designer Central available in UPS? I believe so. They're going to be slightly different, but I believe so.
Okay. And then one more question, and then I think that'll do it. How does a manufacturing bill of material get developed from an engineering bill of material?
So you can use manufacturing planner or process planner or manufacturing engineer. There's a couple roles. So when you say create a new manufacturing structure, you pick the engineering structure, engineering definition that it relates to. And then that's what I said, you create a scope link between the two of those. And then on one panel in the application, you see the engineering definition. On the right side, you see the manufacturing definition. And you consume the components from engineering into the manufacturing definition in the structure you needed there.
Okay, great. Any more questions? Give me a minute to put them in the questions panel. Otherwise, we're gonna move on. Okay, I'm not seeing anything come in. If anyone has anything else, please feel free to put that in there and we will get that to Kip and make sure he answers you specifically and through email. Okay. Do you have another slide, Kip, or are we gonna close here?
I don't, because we have stay tuned for the next webinar series. We haven't decided what it's going to be yet, but stay tuned.
All right, great. Well, we'll be announcing that as soon as we have the information. We'll share that detail on our website and our social media profiles. Please follow us there. And we will be concluding our webinar. Thank you for your time today, and we hope you found this interesting. Please send us some feedback if you have any. We'd love to hear from you. With that, we'll close out. Have a good afternoon. Thanks, Kip.
Thank you.